Hello everyone and welcome to a really amazing game that it's almost like this game has a story of a great pin. You'll see what I mean by this. It's from the semifinals of the Speed Chess Championship. This time Wesley So with the white pieces faces again Hikaru Nakamura. And in the previous video I made a blunder. I said that the game I was showing was actually from the bullet section when in fact it was from the 5+1 section, so from the blitz section. I don't know why. I was probably scrolling through the games and I don't know, probably still was looking at that 1+1. Maybe I was looking at the bullet games first. I have no idea, but it was not a bullet game. So if you want to rewatch that with knowing that it's a blitz game, you're more than welcome to do that. The link will be in the description below. Now getting back to this game, truly a game with a story. Let's check it out. Wesley with the white pieces opens with e4, and this game is from the blitz section, but not from 5+1. It's from 3+1. So let's see what happens here. So e4, we have e5 by Hikaru. Sorry about that. Knight to f3, knight to c6, and again we have the Ruy Lopez. Bishop to b5, knight to f6, again the Berlin is on the board, and d3. Here bishop to c5, and now c3. Preparing to, well, just controlling the center. At some point d4 will be possible. We have d5 by Hikaru, immediately striking in the center. We have captures, queen captures on d5, and now bishop back to c4 by Wesley. So pushing back the black queen. Queen to d6, and now queen to e2. And here you are preparing a move like e4, as the e pawn is pinned, so will not be able to capture back. So here Hikaru castles. And now, interestingly, I will just show you something. It's a very, very popular position. It was seen in many games, such as, let me just check how I named it. All right, here it is. So these are only some of the games, the more notable ones, where this position was reached. So Caruana played it against Kramnik, Topalov versus Aronyan. Radjabov had it also against Karjakin, Sviller versus Ernesto Inerkiev, and Nils Grandelius versus Markus Raga. So those are only the top tier games that reach this position. So it is a fairly known position. So both players know more or less what they're doing here. So here bishop to g5 by Wesley, and now comes bishop to f5. And now you could castle, but castling might run into ideas like e4, so it's hard to say. So here bishop captures on f6 by Wesley, removing one of the defenders of the e4 square. Queen captures on f6, and now knight b to d2. Hikaru, Wesley still not castling, maybe even leaving the option of castling queen side. And here we have bishop to b6, and this is a new move in the position. There is one game in the database where bishop to d6 was played, but here, as of move 11, we have a completely new game. So let's see what happens. Knight to e4. Attacks the queen, and by playing bishop to b6 now, both queen and the bishop are not under attack, so you don't have to give up one of the bishops. So bishop to b6 was basically an improvement by Hikaru, so you don't have to give up the bishop pair. So queen e7, and now knight to g3. Puts pressure on the bishop, bishop g6, and now h4. Of course, preparing h5 to trap the bishop. So h6, making room for the bishop, and Wesley continues pursuing the bishop. h5. We have bishop to h7, and now knight to h4. And here, well, the story of our pin almost begins, but first rook 8 to d8 by Hikaru. He says, I'm not worried about your knight to g6 idea. I'm well prepared for it, but now the story of the pin truly begins, because here Wesley goes knight to g6. And now, okay, the knight cannot be captured, the pawn is pinned, and also the king, the rook and queen are under attack. So Wesley definitely wins material here. So what was Hikaru's plan? Hikaru goes queen to g5, now saying, okay, if you go after the rook, I'm just going to capture, and here I have some tricks up my sleeve. There's a lot of pressure on the d3 pawn. For example, if you capture, then I'm also enjoying some pin action here, as the bishop is now not allowing the queen to be captured. So queen g5, definitely a poisonous move for a blitz game. However, Wesley just goes knight to e4. Attacks the queen, puts more defense to the f2 pawn, and even offers the g2 pawn. So what can Hikaru do here? Here, the problem is if you go for something like queen to f5, then g4 is coming, and the queen really doesn't have any good squares. Queen d7, g5 is coming, and it's just a a terrible position where black's entire king side will crumble, and you still face this super annoying pin, and you can't even unpin with the knight on g6. So instead, after knight to e4, we have queen captures on g2. Hikaru boldly goes for the g2 pawn, and now Wesley just calmly castles. And here rook d to g1 is coming, and there's very little Hikaru can do about this. So he starts by grabbing the knight, and if you go for rook d to g1 now, it would be incredibly dangerous, because now bishop captures on e4, you give up the queen, and after captures and captures, black just has more than enough compensation for the queen. Rook g1, bishop goes back to d5, and you have two pieces and a rook for a queen. That's plenty. So after bishop captures on g6, we have h captures on g6, again enjoying this pin. So the pin in this game is everlasting. We have queen captures on g6 by Hikaru, and only now rook d to g1, putting pressure on the queen, and you really don't have any squares for the queen to go to here. The knight covers these two, and the bishop covers e6, so queen to f5 only move, and now comes rook captures on h6, completely busting open the position, and now you really have to be careful. Not that you have to be careful, this position is lost for black, but you know, you can very easily lose it in so many ways that it's a blitz game. You might want to at least try and survive. So here queen to f4 with check, now attacking the king and connecting with the rook, but now queen d2. Of course, now saying that if you don't trade queens, for example, if you just move the queen, knight f6 check, it's game over. Queen captures, and now rook captures on f6, that's just it. So instead, we have queen captures on e4, now grabbing that knight, offering the queen, but then rook captures on d2. So now, feel free to pause the video and try to find a winning move for Wesley here, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, as this is the only like really winning move. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's rook h to g6. Again, you enjoy this pin, and now rook captures here is coming, and after that it's just game over. Rook captures, queen to h6, and black really doesn't have a good move. So queen to h4, guarding against this future threat of queen to h6, but it doesn't matter. Rook captures on g7 with check, king to h8, and now even rook 7 to g4. Queen g5 is the quickest way to win. Queen g5 is actually a mate in 5, but it's a, you know, with a little time on the clock, it's not an easy one to find. Captures, and there is no defense against rook to h1. That's just going to be endgame. So rook 7 to g4 by Wesley, attacking Hikaru's queen, and now queen to h7. And now again, only one move here wins the game, so it's a very tricky one. Feel free to pause the video for the last time and win the game for Wesley while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on repeating the previous move we've shown. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, queen g5, only move that wins here, and that's just it. There's no defense against, for example, rook to h4 is winning, queen to f6 will be winning, so not much to do here. It's very interesting. If rook g8, then queen f6, rook g7, and now rook to h4. You've unpinned here, but now you're completely pinned here. There's no rook captures on g1. You cannot capture here because the queen guards. I mean, you can, but I mean, you just lose on the spot. And here it's just a very quick checkmate. So instead, after queen g5, we have f6 by Hikaru, but now just queen to h4, and it was in this position that Hikaru Nakamura resigned the game, as whatever you do is just with absolute best play, it's a mate in 4, but that includes silly moves like bishop to e3 check, but it's actually just, for example, queen captures and captures, this is checkmate, the two rooks completely cut off the black king, or if you try something like rook d7 to add another defender to the 7th rank, then it's the incredible rook to g8 check, rook captures, and rook captures on g8 checkmate, because now the queen is pinned. So this is, I know I already have a video called the Immortal Pin game on my channel, but you know, this game was not played at all when I made that video. But okay, this is a blitz game, so we're gonna regard it as such, but still, what a beauty. I do hope you agree. So yeah, like Hikaru said, in many ways Wesley was the better player of the match, and a lot of the games were as interesting as this one. I checked pretty much all of them, and this was the most interesting one I could find, so I do hope you enjoyed this one as well. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. We're still waiting for Friday to see who will win between Magnus and MVL, and who will face Hikaru who will face Hikaru Nakamura in the finals of the Speedchase Championship. And until then, we're gonna continue covering the Morphe saga. So I would like to thank Graham Arnold, Tree Poker, Debashish Sanyal, Seiji Chu, and Alan Lutking for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, guys. Really hope you enjoyed this one. I was very, very happy to show this one to you. Until next time.